Alright, we have another pike and shot skirmish, this time as Imperial Austrian 1649 versus French 1649. I am playing a mirror to this match, but there isn't a official mirror match functionality in pike and shot, so I tend to just throw games up in pairs, and sometimes one person takes them both, and sometimes two different people take them, and of course the random maps generated are different as well. So it is an asymmetric match. The French are based largely on shock. They concentrate on impact horse and impact foot. The Austrian cavalry of this era are still relying on their carbines to a great extent to shoot. Basically, in terms of fighting the French cavalry, they are completely terrible and are going to get swept away. So I will have to try to concentrate on winning the infantry battle instead. If I had more terrain, I might consider getting these haiduks, but I'm not sure because they are vulnerable to horse. So they have the swordsman trait, which sounds useful, but its use is somewhat limited in this era. It will activate against horsemen, but the problem with fighting cavalry with haiduks is surviving the impact, not the melee. And then against pike and shot, against steady pikemen, or steady units of mixed pike and shot, the pikemen cancel out the swordsman POA. So they are basically fighting on even terms. Against disrupted or fragmented or disordered pike and shot units, the swordsman POA will come into being and give them a distinct advantage. So we can consider that. The light guns are especially worth it here because of the defensive impact POA of 50 that they add. I will take the haiduks, they're fun, and I think light horse might be useful for harassment. Maybe 2, not 3. Okay, that'll do. Alright, deployment. This is a good spot for our guns. They can overlook this whole area and hopefully work on his cavalry. My own cavalry is just awful. They're just horrible, and they're likely to just immediately collapse on contact with his cavalry. Okay. Now, on the bright side, this is a fairly defensible position. And although our cavalry is terrible at fighting cavalry, they might be fairly decent at fighting infantry, thanks to their ability to shoot. And the best chance for survival for my terrible cavalry is to just dump them into this rough ground. Maybe this built-up area if we can make it there. Which will disorder both my units and his units. It will also negate impact horse. This is only height 50, so it's not going to make a big difference. The veterans might have a chance to actually survive a cohesion check on contact with the French cavalry, so we will deploy them to fight the enemy horse. even though it's not likely to go well. This unit will keep in reserve. They'll shift one way or another, depending on which way he weights his wing. We'll plunk a unit of light hussars on each flank to harass and encourage him to attack. Alright, onward. Next turn. See how my opponent deploys. Oh. That's actually a really good call on his part. I am very badly deployed to deal with this. Alright. I do wonder how many units are in here. Now, if I really, was in full-on tournament mode, I suppose I would go through and count the point values of all the units I can see. But we're not going to do that. That's just too much work for just a standard pub game here. At least 5 cavalry units. What do we have here? 7 infantry units. Okay. So raw units are also not to be relied upon. I'm nervous. I'm going to move this unit a little bit more towards the center so I can choose where the emergency is. Otherwise, we'll sit as we are for this turn. And next turn. Interesting. I was rather afraid of this wing. I wonder why he's holding it back. Well, we will continue to sit here. We're certainly not going to attack a position like this filled with shock cavalry, or not shock cavalry. But if he's going to sit there, I will turn this infantry unit back around. Still center that cavalry unit, and we'll rush this cavalry unit into the village, which will prove an equalizer against superior cavalry. It will be dangerous against medium foot musketeers, of course, but if they push too close, we can charge. Yes, I am content to let him approach me for now. I just concluded my mirror match this game against a different opponent because 2 people picked it up, and I played as a French and swept away the Austrians pretty easily in the open, so I'm hoping to avoid a similar fate, and avoiding a similar fate means playing defensive. If he refuses to move, we'll probably come out just make a game of it, but first we'll see what happens. Next turn. I mean, no thank you. I really am under no obligation to attack here, especially against an army that specializes in melee impact with both horse and foot. Try to be annoying, but if I have to sit here, I'll sit here. Unless I get impatient. Do I feel impatient yet? 9 infantry units here to 7. Though 2 are raw. And 1 lacks pikes, so it would have to move from broken ground to broken ground. This is a lot of open ground. If I had to move this horse to support the flank, it could get ugly. That's also a lot of shock cavalry, or veteran impact cavalry, as opposed to my shooty cavalry. I'm going to try to be patient for at least a little while longer, and then I'll either offer my opponent to draw or recklessly hurl everyone forward at the same time. Next turn. Our staring contest continues. I think. Unless something happens. Two cavalry units moving out towards me. So we will, fortunately, as much as I want to do this, probably get my unit killed. It might be worth it though. Worst case scenario, it's just 1 unit of horse that we lose. We will, I think, need support on that flank though. Alright. Do I? Don't I? Don't think I can. I think he would pin me with the horse and shoot me up. So we return from whence we came. And I'm content to do just that for now. And next turn. Was hoping for a frag. I did not get one. That probably dooms this cavalry unit. Yeah, you guys are screwed. Okay. If he continues to hang his infantry back and only advances with cavalry, we'll have a choice to make of either shifting infantry to the flanks to support the horse or pushing forward with the infantry and just using the horse to delay. Both have their dangers, so we'll see how he moves before making a decision. Next turn. Oh, lucky. I mean, this unit is still doomed, but it has served its purpose. Goodbye. Well, it's been a slow game so far, but I am just unwilling to attack. Considering my experience playing as the French against this Austrian list, in which I basically just charged everyone forward and hit impact and, forced the enemy from the field, I am highly reluctant to risk a similar brief encounter. Now, this unit would defeat our own cavalry even in rough, but it would be standing in the open and disorder by attacking into the rough. So then hopefully we can move our own cavalry into the open and attack it while it's disordered. Or we'll mistime things and we'll lose our cavalry. Either way. So that is the maximum range of the enemy's artillery. Alright, there are 14 turns remaining. Perhaps at 10 turns I would accept the inevitable and push into contact just to see what happens. Onward. Next turn. Oh. Is that the way it's gonna be? Well, I'll chill for 3 more turns and then I'll make a push. It's in half arc, so we will turn these guns so we can fire at this center mass. Alright, that's it for now and probably for 3 more. Next turn. We have movement, but I'm going to continue to shift these hussars over to the other side to join the harassment. I just want to force him to either attack me or push the line up or do something, and he's of course doing the same thing. The difficulty is that these shooting horse just cannot operate in the open against shot cavalry. These are impact pistol, and these are carbine and melee pistol, and carbine has no impact. So I just cannot break cover. I could probably win a shooting match against this line. The problem is he's far enough away that even if I moved forward 2 squares, he could start withdrawing, and I wouldn't really be able to catch him, and who knows what is lurking in this forest. If he moved just 1 square further forward, then it will be worth my advancing and risking whatever was in here, because I'd be able to force engagement, but he's just not quite close enough for that yet. So maybe we can do something with that. He'll probably just withdraw it, but I just need him to move a little closer so that I can attack without fear of getting surprised by whatever is hidden here. And I need to be able to remain close enough to this rough ground, because once this cavalry breaks from the rough ground, they're screwed. So their job is to stay here. If he pushes forward a tile, we can move forward 2 tiles, engage, and still have this cavalry close enough that they can, via the threat of their charge here, protect the flanks of the advancing infantry. That's at least the plan. Next turn. Well, he's moving forward, so I could shuffle these back, but let's continue to encourage these units to push. I just need these pike and shot units to move forward 1 or 2 tiles, and then we can push out. Just 1 or 2. I think we're close to making it happen. Okay. Next turn. Have we forced move? Oh, come on. Alright, I threw away a cavalry unit for nothing then. There we go. That's why I held back. Still no advance in the center. You might have forced my hand with this. I might just have to move forward here. The problem is if I move here and then he moves here, then I can either move forward to be on level ground, in which case I'm in charge range and lose my stationary firing bonus, or stay in fire and be downhill. But it might be worth risking at this point because this flank might get ugly soon. It's also possible there's another unit concealed in this wood, considering that we can see at least one horse back there. But I think at this point he has forced our hand and we will break cover and fight possibly uphill so that we can take advantage of the numbers we have for now. I especially don't want to wait until these guys rally up and come back. Okay, there's our situation. We will attempt to hold on both flanks and push hard in the center and stop cavalry moving from the flanks into the center. Next turn. Yep, that is what we feared. Now I could do this, and I would have a good chance in the melee. Unfortunately, let's see. Oh, that is actually interesting. So although these are a shooting horse, they are nevertheless determined horse. So I'm not sure if they could fall back. On the one hand, I have determined horse. On the other hand, they initiated the combat in the first place, so perhaps they would be flagged as the attacker in the code. If I move here to get the flank, I can simply be charged as these light hussars exert no zone of control. So I think I will just attack here and see what happens. If they do fall back, it at least gives us a chance to shoot at them more before contact resumes. Now, if these are just going to withdraw, that's fine. A continued delay at this flank works for me. I've blocked my own line of sight, of course. Interesting. Well, good job, me. How lucky. Okay. Okay. Onward. Okay, now it's getting real. I don't think we're at the key decision point yet, but we're getting close. Ah, that's exactly what I feared happening. This is going pretty well, though. If we can stay engaged in a firefight, we have the advantage of numbers. We negate the advantage of his impact, although that is troubling. Okay. We might need to start coming down from our hill then. Going to make for this rough ground and try to peel away one of his, hopefully, veteran horse units. Okay. We'll have to take a point-blank volley here. That is a key disruption. That preserves this unit from being charged. Can also... Now I can either push this unit forward to gain the slope, or stay out of charge range. I think we're just gonna stay out of charge range. Good. Now we can face this cavalry without fear. Alright, what can you hit? Uh-huh. Okay, turn back that way. Ah, okay. Now we can either push forward to fire and hope for disruption, or it can fall back, which could also lead to disruption. I'm going to gamble on falling back because this is a superior unit at close to full strength. Good. Ah. These raw Pike and shot are not going to do much to inflict casualties, but really they only exist as speed bumps. At this point, if we can simply win the center, we don't have to care if we lose a few units on the left. And we will lose a few units on the left. Next turn. Ooh. Okay. Excuse me. We'll withdraw. Was hoping for a break there. We'll move close so that if they try to fall back again, they will have to cohesion test again. Now he can either face this way and be firing at half arc compounded by 2 units, or he can charge and risk getting hit in the flank. Still have to be a little wary of this shock horse, but at this point, I'm ready to throw my cavalry into the open just to keep the infantry battle more or less even. This cavalry unit might move in this direction, and it might just turn back around. I just wanted to move a little bit out of charge and musketry range. Okay, this is developing pretty nicely so far. The route percent is even at the moment, but I believe we are doing quite well, and he's going to have to push very aggressively with his. I mean, it's a lot of points on this wing not really doing anything right now. They're going to have to push and accept some casualties if he wants to rescue the situation. Next turn. Okay, there we go. Now we've got movement. Oh, that is awkward. Okay, yeah, that's the right call. We've been zone of control locked here. So that was a difficult situation for him to be in. The light guns gave plus 50 defensive impact POA, but to stand there would have been to just get shot at as well. Okay. This unit we are just going to continue to pick at. Break them. Wheel this unit of veteran late Imperial horse about. We're going to have to start accepting some unfavorable cavalry combats now. Impressive cohesion. Alright, enough wasting time. We're going in. This is ugly. This is admittedly a little bit ugly. So this pike and shot unit prevents a flank charge into this late Imperial horse. It's going to start getting ugly for my infantry on this wing. Actually tempted. It's a half arc, which I normally never do, but it's an extra cohesion check, which fails to accomplish anything. Okay, what have we got left? Nobody that I really want to move at this moment. Once we start actually cleaning up this infantry, we can turn around and shift some pike and shot units to this left flank, which is in some danger. I think the right is actually going to be fine. Well, maybe not this unit, but ultimately, I don't think he has enough units to cause much more than some peripheral damage here. I might lose a couple cavalry units, some raw pike and shot, but far away from the main battle. So anyone who succeeds here is going to push left. Next turn. Ouch. Okay, now it should start getting interesting, because this is bad. We'll see if they stop pursuing at all, now we can get a rear charge in. Good. Ouch. Okay. I did that so I could hit the musketeers with my cavalry. So even my crappy shooty cavalry should do well against medium foot. Okay, we need to put the pressure on, and we can't afford to delay any longer. Very ugly. Nothing can be done about it. We're just going to have to accept the charge and hope for best. We'll send the Hydux this way to help deal with this and possibly this, but we'll send one more pike and shot unit to the left flank where there's still a lot of cavalry intact. Very good. Alright, onward. Next turn. The hussars are just too fast to be caught by non-light cavalry. I was hoping for a little bit more from that, but they are shooty cavalry. Right, so overall, although rear charging this horse gives me a chance to roll the whole line, the greater danger is this unit of shock cavalry. So we'll hit them, and then just start shooting at this standard unit of horse. Or better yet, we'll just join the fight here. See, even disrupted, they won that impact. Very deadly unit. These hussars have really been worth the 80 points I put into them. They forced my opponent to move forward in a way that no one else I had could have. They're what allowed this engagement to go so favorably overall, and what allowed my infantry to advance unhindered into the center. So we do have to be a little bit careful. The French musketeers are impact foot, so we could get disrupted in impact. But we're above average. We're on higher ground. We have more intact units. So hopefully, we'll hold firm or disrupt them before they get close enough to charge. And in an actual melee, the Haiduks would win because they are swordsmen. And these French musketeers have neither pikes nor bayonets to cancel out swordsman POA. We'll accept a round of fire. 2 rounds of fire. Ouch. But these are regular pike and shot, not French pike and shot, so we don't have to worry about their impact charge because they don't have one. And here we can zone of control lock this veteran horse and prevent it from flank charging our late Imperial horse. So now they'll have to either move away or return to face us. Once he charges this unit, it's going to fold immediately. So we just have to hope that doesn't happen yet. Very good. Excuse me. Okay. Here we have a choice. We can either charge this unit while it's disrupted, or ignore it and charge here. I think I'm just going to go immediately for the flank. and we'll push this unit of horse up to assist. Okay, so we're going to win this, and our patience, well, I think we're going to win it. There's 4 turns left, but I think that's enough time. And our patience paid off here. Clearly, he had a larger force on this wing, so I had to hang back in defensive ground. And on this wing, he didn't have a larger force with his shot cavalry. It was far too dangerous to face in open terrain. But we could face them off in rough ground to cancel their impact horse ability, and these hussars forced him to move forward into that engagement, even though it was unfortunate that this unit of French musketeers rallied and came back. And in the center, I did want to wait to advance until the flank was secure-ish, so that I knew if he fell back, I wouldn't be getting sucked into a trap. In the event, he weighted his right flank pretty heavily, which left his center pretty vulnerable. I also wonder if he would have been better off getting fewer of these allied pike and shot units and simply got more French pike and shot to push forward to the charge, because their impact is so deadly. But it's always hard to say these things at the start of a game. So we'll see how this finishes developing. Next turn. Very good. Okay, so that's the end. So this was hosted as a mirror to a match where I played as the French versus the Austrians. That match I won. This was against a different player. I will say there was some terrain assistance I had here that was not present for my opponent in the mirror match. I deployed here, so granted this is a down slope, but this sort of narrow raised ground still made things a little awkward for my opponent. And I had a nice hill for my artillery and a patch of rough to stick my cavalry in. Ultimately, though, I don't think the terrain was really the determining factor. I think there were 2 things. These hussars were really useful in forcing an attack here. And more importantly, I think there is the overall timing of my opponent's advance. You'll notice in the mirror match that I played as a French, I threw everybody forward at once. And in this game, there was an assault on my right and a tentative advance on my center, and no advance at all on the left at first. So, I advanced in the center once it was clear that the right would not be a disaster. And by the time his actually pretty dangerous assault on my left came in, the center was already wrapping up in my favor, so I was able to send multiple units of reinforcements to assist. Particularly with an army with the French that are dependent on impact for both horse and foot, you want to minimize the amount you're getting shot at. And to minimize the amount you're getting shot at, you want to throw absolutely everything in all at once when you do decide to move. And that didn't happen here, and I think that was likely the key factor. Alright, there'll probably be a slight gap in Pike and Shot recordings until the Digital League is wrapped up, but there will be more to come.